Hi, it's me again. I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about opening up and dating with intention. So if you know anything about me, you know that these two things have been quite difficult for me when, let's say, when I first got into like my dating phase, because for the first 18, 19 years of my life, I really, how do I say this? I used to date a lot when I was a little kid, but I feel like that doesn't count. And then I started dating again in college, and I feel like that's when it really started to count for me. And I just dated around. Everything was super casual. I was like not ready for anything super emotionally deep, so I didn't get into too many real relationships because I just wanted to protect myself, and I would just shelter in and like hold a lot of my inner self. And that was like a recurring issue for me. I felt like I could open up more to my friends, but it still wasn't real. Like everything was quite surface level for me. So I just felt like the safest being the entertaining one, or the one who could make other people laugh, or the one who could bring everybody into a good mood or a good time. But a lot of concerns kept coming up with friends that I had at that time where they're like, what about you? Like, can you tell me something? And then I would just basically like throw a deep piece of lore at them and then dip. And I felt like that was enough. Like I would just throw bones in like whist. I was like doing an ARG in real life with my personal life. I would give hints and things because I wasn't very happy with my situation and there was a lot going on at that time. So it was like a recurring thing. So when I went into dating, I would do that same thing where I would shelter in myself and like protect too much. I wouldn't open up, I wouldn't share, and I wasn't comfortable in general with the people who I wanted to be around me, but I expected them to just be okay with not knowing anything about me. So over time, obviously, that became an issue. So as that issue kept growing and becoming bigger, and I got back into therapy, I learned a few things about myself. One is BPD. And that just means like I see people in relationships in extremes. Like I either see them as like this perfect, amazing person or the worst thing ever. It's just something that I'm working on and trying to control. And even like minor issues, like I would like blow up everything over it. And that's something that I had to unlearn. But when I was talking to the therapist that I used to see, one thing that I learned is I really have to open up if I want people to trust in me and know that my intentions are good. Because they told me this, they're, how can you expect people to want to be around you and get to know you if it's only them giving and sharing and then you never reciprocate? And that was like the biggest theme is reciprocity. So here's my first tips for opening up. The first thing is try and not trauma dump, because that's another thing that can be quite easy to go into, but give easy, casual responses and answer back in the same way. So if you're, say, on a date with somebody and they're talking about their family, you should talk about your family. You don't want to go straight into the deepest, darkest, traumatic thing that has ever happened in your family, but you also don't want to just be like, oh, yeah, that sucks. I would hate that too. Like you want to connect, like just like you connect on topics of interest, you want to connect on those topics of background. Another big thing that I think is quite helpful is to have a notebook, like a date notebook. And it might be weird to some people, but it's not that big a deal. Like you can just say, hey, can I bring a notebook on the date? I want to like really get to know you and I want to write things down and really remember. And it will also help you know like similar things about them that you can relate on. It's like you really just in that time with me, it helped me to listen to actually understand and not listen to respond, because I'm listening and I'm writing things down. So I'm really engaging with what this person is saying. And it also helps me to remember better. So then when it's my turn to respond, like I can just give them a true healing, understanding, and loving answer. And I found that very, very helpful. Okay. The next thing that I want to say is while you're on that date, like try and give a not strong schedule, but just something that's clear in terms of what are we doing, where are we going, and how can I plan these things around you. Set up a list of questions too. Like that's something that's really helpful and something that I did with my girlfriend. I literally just wrote down all the questions that I wanted to ask her and I put it in like this container. And then I went to her and I shook up the container, and like as we were just hanging out, I just would pull out the questions and ask them. She would answer, I would answer, I would answer, she would answer. And then if we had a break off conversation about that, it was just something that worked really, really well for me. So that's another suggestion that I would give. Make it cute, you know, put it on some cute paper, write in some nice handwriting, like let them read, let me read, do these type of things. And it also just shows that intention that like you care enough to want answers to these questions. Next, not just like hounding people with questions. I feel like that's something else that can be quite a little bit weird. For me, I struggle with showing affection in that way because I don't know, it's just like something in my brain that doesn't click like, oh, now is a good time to be in that mood. So I have to like push myself to like pick up on the vibes. This is why I think I might be autistic, but pick up on the vibes like, oh, is this like a flirting moment? Is this a moment where someone is looking at me and they're interested in me? Because I'm also interested. I feel like that's something else that I had to unlearn. Like I had a lot of revulsion when I was dating guys. So once I dated a girl, and I'm like, oh, I don't have this problem anymore. I just had to unlearn some of those things that I like, those guards that I put up. So when I would like look at her and she would look at me, and I like, yeah, just clear communication. I'll just say that. Like just give clear communication, especially if you're dating someone like me who is a little bit slow, and just say clearly. It's just if you're dating someone like me who's a little bit slow, you want to just say clearly, hey, I'm interested in this right now. Can we do this? So that's 4 so far. The last thing that I want to say for opening up is write down stuff, and this is something that I also do, and just give context, like especially if it's like trauma related or something. You want to send information and you want to be upfront in what issues you have mentally and physically, but you don't want to just trauma dump it on the person. You want to let them know like, hey, I'm having these issues right now. Is this something that you're willing to work with me on? And then that kind of opens the door for more conversations, and there's more information that you can exchange, more information that you can know about one another. And I find that to be quite a good starter. Like you don't want to dump everything at one point. Just be like, hey, we haven't had this conversation yet about X. Let's talk about X now. And then it may lead into conversation about Y and Z. So I think that that's also a good way to open up. And then now on to the next topic, which is dating with intentions. I feel like this is something that's kind of hard now, especially in the days of like social media dating and like Tinder and all this other stuff. And I know a lot of people feel shame about meeting significant others on those dating sites, but there are certain things that you can do, excuse me, to signal to others that you're here to date seriously and not hook up. Like I had my whole phase, I'm over that. Like I didn't really get much from it, but you know, it was a sign of the times. So now that like I'm looking for something more serious and more committed, I'm thinking, how can I let the person who I'm going to be dating know this? The first tip that I would say is on your profile, like just be clear, like, hey, I'm not looking to hook up. Hey, I'm not looking for this and I'm not looking for that. And there's certain signs that you can look for when you're talking to people to see if they're opportunist is the best way that I'll describe it. And I think it is a form of sexual assault for the people who do that, who will pretend that they want a relationship just to get sex and then be like, oh, actually, I'm not ready for a relationship. I feel like it's quite predatory. So you have to kind of look out for those type of people. Like if the first time you're talking, they're just always talking about coming over, going to a hotel, and red flag. Like that's something that I was shocked by when I came over here, where some guy sent me a message and he was like, this is when I learned, like, don't use dating apps to make friends. Well, I can't say that. I made one really good friend off of Bumble. But in general, I would say don't do that, because people will say, oh, they want to be friends, but that's not really what they're looking for. So if you're getting a lot of messages and the person is being very charged and they keep adding, like asking weird questions, like sexual questions, just leave it, because you know that that's where they're going. Or if they keep complimenting your appearance and stuff and not actually trying to get to know you, that's another red flag of like, hey, this person might just be looking for hookups, or other weird conversations about like what their apartment is like and what your apartment is like and when you have free time. That's not how a friend asks to hang out. They will ask to meet at a neutral location. So that's another thing that I will give as a tip. Try not to have too many sexy pictures is what I'll say. Like, there was this term that was quite popular before, which is like reverse catfishing. So you don't want to put up like your most attractive, beautiful pictures. You want to just put up pictures that are like average and okay. I also don't use filters anymore. Once I left college, I think this was in like 2018, 2019, filters just mess with my self-image and self-perception, so I just stopped using them and I just don't use them anymore. So I think it's best to like use unfiltered photos and like raw images, and your profile should just be very clear. And I know some people will say whatever, but one thing that I said is like, hey, we can be friends if that's what you want, but if we're friends, we're only gonna stay friends, and if we're getting to know each other romantically, it's only gonna stay that way. That's just the way my brain works. I can't shift from platonic to romantic, romantic to platonic. Like that's why I'm not friends with any of my exes. That's why like, I just can't do it. It's weird for me, but I know everybody is different, and you want to ask those questions to other people to make sure you're on the same wavelength. So yeah, I would say like make sure that the profile pictures are very clear and obvious of like just what your intentions are. The other thing that I will say for me that worked quite well was you want to give a, even if it's copy pasted, because I would copy paste it, like what your intentions are and be clear, like set the boundary. Like, hey, I'm trying to remember what mine was. It's been so long. Let me see. Do I have it in my thing still? Yeah, okay, I do. Okay. So my catch line is, hello, I'm open to other things, but I'm mainly looking to get to know each other with the intention of dating. What is your purpose of matching with me? And then from there, people can say like, hey, I'm just looking for friendship. Hey, I'm looking for this. Hey, I'm looking for hookups and those type of things. And then you can, set the tone and keep the conversation very intense from the jump of like, okay, so what are your intentions? Like, how long are we going to be dating before, we make things official, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you want to have like long intentional paragraphs, and you don't want to set a timer for like how long it takes somebody to respond to you, but I think a good rule of thumb is like maybe within 12 hours. If the person is not responding in 12 hours, like that's enough time for them to work, enough time for them to eat, have dinner, blah, blah, blah. If they can't make time every 12 hours when you're first getting to know each other, I think it's just better to cut it there. And that was my rule of thumb. And after like a day or two, if the person didn't respond back, I would just unmatch them, because it's better to like save my emotional bandwidth and not invest in that person. Because my goal as well, like when I was dating with intention, was to get a date within the first week. And, if you can get like a video call before then, everything is quite good in that sense. You want to get like a strict timeline. For me, I made a timeline for myself of how my planned dating rules were. So the first thing that I set for myself was no hookups, no casual relationships, and no time wasters. Like serial daters is something else that I will also avoid, and love bombing was something that I wanted to avoid because a lot of people will do that as well. So my timeline for me is be open, be honest, and within 12 hours they need to respond. And then after that, like we should have like a casual conversation going on. I don't expect them to give me good morning, good night text because we're not in a relationship yet. But within that first week, you want to set a date. And on that first date, you want to, just make sure you're asking all the questions that you need to ask. You're getting to know each other, interests, hobbies. Like avoid small talk. I don't think it's necessary when you're dating for intentions to talk about small talk. You want to talk about plans, future, building, that type of thing, and get a clear response from them. If you're talking to that person, they can't make eye contact, or they're just giving you vague answers, or they're not sure, then leave it alone. I think the longest time that I let recently someone go, they needed like a week, I think, to think about stuff or whatever. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then they responded to me a week later and they were like, can we just be friends? And I'm like, no. So like I had clearly told this person my boundary. So then things got cut off after that. So I think it's quite important to stick to those boundaries and make sure you let that person know, like, hey, this is something that I already talked to you about. So no, we're not doing that. And which is why I changed my rule after that, where it's like if a person can't respond to me like, within this much time, then I'm not going to do it. And at the time I also had a falling out with a friend. So it was just like a lot of stuff at that time. So I think it's quite important to stand firm on your boundaries and be clear in your communication. If the person cannot meet your needs, don't compromise on it. Just let it go. And if they're trying to, be, how do I say this? I don't want to like expose this person. But basically they were like, oh, I just kiss my friends sometimes. Is that okay? No, it's not. So, you want to make sure that the person who you're dating has the same boundaries and understandings about other relationships as you do. Like one of the things that I think is quite important to define early on is how long for marriage, how long until moving in together? What do you define as cheating? Like what's your love language, and how can I affirm you and take care of you? How can you take care of me? What is our understanding on certain relationships, family relationships, these type of things, and get a clear understanding of that so that there won't be any issues down the line. The other thing that I suggest that's quite good for me, sorry, my voice is getting worse because I think I'm getting a little bit sick. I've been coughing. I'll probably edit it out, but make sure you're quite clear in your understanding for what the future is going to hold. You don't want somebody who's not going to invest the proper amount of time into you or the right amount of care, because then you're kind of just killing each other's time. The other thing that I will say, I have a list here. It's quite long. You want to have like a lot of your philosophies and boundaries clearly set and stated in writing or over audio or something, so the person can really remember, so there won't be any type of confusion. And when I first started dating, like, here's my list of questions. And I found these on social media and also like a singles dating website. I don't know if this is visible, but basically this is like all the questions that I would ask. Make sure that they're on the same page as you. And I would just go through those and check them off as I ask them with the person. And I'll also make a note as well with that person's name. It's all deleted now because I have a girlfriend, but I'll have like that person's name and then all their answers. The only one I have right now is for my girlfriend, but it's like, I'm not going to show it, but like what's something, that we can talk about and build on each time. And then you also want to keep checking in, like, as you're dating. And I think dating for more than a month really isn't necessary, because by then you know if the person has time for you or wants a relationship with you or not. And my rule usually is 3 dates. So that's like how, things went. And, you want to be clear and understanding of those things. So like, and try not to, this is another big one. Try not to compare your current relationship with current or past relationships. So it's never really been a problem with me, but for some of my exes that I dealt with, they will always bring up their exes. They will always want to talk about like, oh, this person used to do this for me. You don't do that for me. You want to realize that the person you're dating now is a completely new and different person than the person you dated before. And don't bring unnecessary comparisons, because then it will, for me, I didn't really get jealous, but it's just like, why are you telling me this? Like, is this something that you want me to change? It comes off as passive aggressive. And if you're having issues that early, I think that's a bit of a red flag. But you want to tell that person clearly like what you don't like or what you do like. So something that my girlfriend and I would do often is, and we still kind of do this. We talk about like certain things that we like, certain things we don't like. And it's not been any arguments, but it's like just clear communication, because you want to be in a relationship with someone who is emotionally available and emotionally mature. You don't want to deal with like a child who's going to throw a tantrum. So that's something that I think is quite important as well. Early on, I said like, I have an anxious avoidant attachment style because of childhood trauma. Maybe I'll mute that part, but because of that, so I had to learn how to not do that type of stuff. Like for me, I would sabotage in a way that I pull away. Like I pull away from like romance and other things because I'm like, what is this person's intentions? Or it's not even that anymore. It's more like, oh, if I show too much or I care too much, the person will think I'm weird, because that's something that I would get from of like when I showed affection or things like that, it would be like, oh, that's gay, or oh, that's gross, get away from me. So it's something that I internalize quite a bit. So now that I'm older and I'm a grown up, I shouldn't have that fear anymore. But you're dictates your adulthood. So there's something that I was like, hey, I have this problem. Is this okay? And she's like, yeah, no problem. I love it, actually. Like, keep doing it. So I was like, oh, okay, great. So I'm not saying like find someone who will enable you, but someone who like doesn't have an issue with that and will know how to comfort you when you're going through that is also quite important. And you also want to just keep reaffirming. Like that's something that I did with my girlfriend early on. It's like, I know that I may not be, super cuddly or super touchy, because my main love language is physical touch, and my second one is quality time. The other ones are like less than 10%, because I really don't like gifts because of trauma, and I don't like acts of service, because then it's like, are you gonna hold this over me? Same thing is with gifts. But you don't want to find somebody who's going to enable you, but someone who's going to trust that your intentions are pure. So I was like, I may not be showing all of my things right now, but I really care about you. I really want to get to know you. I really like you. So don't doubt that. Like my behavior may be a little bit weird, but it's just because of this thing. And know that like I'm going to keep trying and pushing myself to be more clear and communicative. And then also in person, be like, just affirm that person. You're so beautiful. Like I love everything about. Oops, I should edit that out. Well, actually, by the time this video goes up, I'll have said it already, so it's fine. I won't edit it out. But I love everything about you. I care about you. I like being with you. I love spending time with you, this type of thing. And just reaffirm and build that trust so that there's no space for doubt. Even if your behavior is a little bit skittish, just remind the person, hey, this isn't because of you. This is something that I'm dealing with. So just keep pushing to be open. And eventually I think it gets easier, because it was the same thing with my self-esteem and self-confidence. Like, it used to be quite low, and then I kept working on it, and now you can't tell me nothing about myself. I love myself. Even, if people want to make weird comments and say rude things and leave weird comments that I have to delete, blah, 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 But for me, that's something that I'm going to keep having to work on, because it's really hard to unlearn that attachment style. Because like, if you get 30% of your needs met as a child, then you won't have any issues. You'll have a healthy attachment style. So that says a lot. But, just keep reminding yourself, like, I'm doing this for the future that I want with this person, and the future that this person wants with me. So I need to be the best version of myself. So keep pushing and doing that. And then also keep telling them, and also trying to show them as well, because words only go so far, especially if they're not like a words of affirmation person. You want to keep, communicating like over and over again, like, hey, this is my thing. It's not you, it's me. And it's not you, it's me sounds like something you're going to say to break up with somebody. I'm having these issues right now. Don't give me space, actually. That's for me. Like, I don't like space. Like, even if I like pull away, don't give me space. Get up in my space. Like, take away the option. Because if I'm taking a step back, it's usually like a lot of stuff going up in here. And I've had people in the past who have picked up on that. And if I pull away, they run towards me. And that's exactly what I need. And that's what my girlfriend does. So it's like, just make sure that the person knows what you want. Like, even if I'm doing this, that doesn't mean I don't like you. Like, keep pushing. Like, don't give me any time to like doubt or whatever. And I don't have any doubts. So it's just weird, like the way the brain works. But that's the first thing. And then finally, with dating with intentions, the thing that I want to say is try to go places and do things. I've met some people, most of them are quite flaky, but I guess it's my fault for not going more. And I know like with this generation, it's harder for people to show up. People will bail out on you like last minute. Like, I probably have like 2 really good friends at this point. It used to be higher, but people who show up for you are more important than, having a big friend group number. And people who don't keep in contact or don't try and keep in contact, that's something that you just have to let it go. But for me, just keep reaffirming what you're looking for, and don't compromise on your boundaries. Like, you can't find a perfect partner. You shouldn't expect that. My girlfriend's perfect. No, stop. But, when you have that problem, you have to think about your inner self and what you ideally want, and things that you are willing to compromise on and things you aren't willing to compromise on. I would say make a list, and it shouldn't be more than like 5 things, because a lot of other stuff you can work with the person on. It has to be something that they're open to work with. Like, you don't want to manipulate somebody into changing, but it has to be something that you're clear, like, hey, I'm looking like for my partner to have this thing. Like, right now, everything about you is great. You're meeting like 90% of what I want, but this one other thing, can we work on this? And is there something you want me to work on? And just be honest and open in that regard. And I feel like you won't have any issues. Just be open with it. Like, for me, something that I can't compromise on is like the amount of time that we spend together. So right now, me working full time is quite difficult. But it's like reaffirming, like, when I have time, I need to talk to you. And when you have time, you need to talk to me. We've never had that issue, honestly. We just don't have that issue. But if that was an issue that we were having, I would just keep telling her, like, hey, can we make time now? Can we make time now? Can we do this now? But we don't have that problem. And you also want to make sure that you know this. Like, someone who wants to be with you will try their best to be with you. And if the person's not meeting that need, then don't do it. So like I said, you want to make a list of all the questions and things that you want to know in a folder. If you're like me and you have bad memory, you want to have a warm open, cold open question that you use, and get a equal response for that. And then, like I said, they should respond within 12 hours. You should be talking at least once a day, exchanging at least 10 messages, Other than that, it's like, does that person really have time for you? And do they have the emotional availability? Are they as interested in you as you're interested in them? There should be equal and mutual enthusiastic attraction. If it's just you messaging this person and not responding, just let it go. Because that person is showing you that they're not that interested in you, or you're a backup plan. Love yourself more. And if the person is just messaging you all the time, every day, that's also a red flag. Because why do they have so much time to invest in a relationship? It gives like manipulative and abusive vibes for me. The other thing, like I said, be open, don't trauma dump, but just let the person know, and like keep checking in while you're sharing information with them. Like, hey, do you want to know more? Is this okay? How are you feeling? Right now I'm feeling blah blah blah. Can we keep talking about this later, or do you want to keep talking about it now? And just, temperature check frequently, because you're still at that point getting to know each other. And within a month or 3 dates, however you view it, you should be in a relationship with the person. And while you're in a relationship, you want to keep going over like the same things you talk about the first date. Like, keep talking about the future, keep talking about marriage if that's what you're looking for, keep talking about kids. Like, if kids isn't something you're looking for, it is something you're looking for. Keep talking about attachment styles, relationships, motivations, attraction, anything else that you need to talk about, like what type of needs they have. Talk about those. What type of needs you have, what type of wants, desires, plans. Make lots of plans and keep communicating that. And I think that that's a really good place to start. For me, it took a long time to get to where I am now, from being like the frightful little deer who would just run away from every problem or whatever. So keep it up. Like, keep trying, keep doing what you need to do to make sure that you have the foundations for relationship success. And you also want to just think about the long-term effects of this relationship. It should never be hard. Like, you shouldn't be tired or drained or exhausted after meeting with somebody. You should just be happy, spunky. You should be missing them. I'm not saying they should be in your brain all the time. That's my problem right now. But the person shouldn't be on your brain all the time, but it can be. So it's just like, keep trying, and making communication attempts. Be clear, be understanding, and be trusting of that person. Like, my thing I've always said, it's not a bad thing to be gullible if you're around the right people, because good people won't take advantage of that fact, and it's a good thing, honestly. So trust blindly and faithfully, and don't have any doubts, and just believe in your partner, and your partner will believe in you, and then build whatever future you want to build. I think I've been yapping long enough and I feel trash, so I'm going to quickly edit this and then throw it up as a video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace. Yeah, so with that type of thing, sorry, what was I talking about?